She refused the $10,000 tip, until the billionaire boss offered her the manager's job. The envelope lay on the table like a silent accusation, thick, heavy, impossible to ignore. It was the kind of envelope that could change a life in an instant, the kind most people prayed for but never received. Yet her hands trembled not with excitement, but with something closer to pain. In a quiet corner of an elegant restaurant where crystal glasses caught the light like frozen stars, a young woman stood facing a choice that would test everything she believed about dignity, pride, and self-worth. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and quiet strength that speaks louder than money, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that the smallest decisions can carry the greatest meaning. Her name was Elena, and to most people she was invisible. Another server in a pressed white blouse, hair neatly pulled back, posture trained to be respectful and small. She had learned early in life how to take up as little space as possible. Raised by a mother who worked double shifts and a father who disappeared before she could remember his face, Elena grew up understanding that survival came before dreams. She worked hard, stayed quiet, and carried her exhaustion like a secret. Every shift meant aching feet, forced smiles, and the constant fear that one mistake could cost her the job she desperately needed. That night had started like any other. The restaurant buzzed with soft music and muted conversations, the kind of place where deals were made over expensive wine and success was measured by the weight of a watch on a man's wrist. When she was assigned to serve the private table near the window, she noticed the man immediately. He carried himself with calm authority, not loud or demanding, but observant, controlled. He watched everything. His suit was tailored to perfection, his presence commanding without effort. She did not know then that he was a billionaire, the owner of the restaurant chain itself, a man whose name appeared in business magazines and whispered boardrooms. Throughout the evening, Elena did what she always did. She served flawlessly. She anticipated needs before they were spoken. She moved with grace despite the fatigue pressing down on her shoulders. What she did not do was try to impress. She did not flirt, did not flatter, did not act like this table mattered more than any other. To her, every customer deserved the same respect. It was a principle she had held onto when almost everything else in life felt uncertain. When the meal ended and the guests rose to leave, the man remained seated for a moment longer. Elena returned to clear the table, already thinking about the long walk home and the bills waiting on her kitchen counter. That was when she saw the envelope placed neatly beside the receipt. She picked it up absent-mindedly at first, then froze when she felt its weight. Inside was cash. A lot of it. Later she would learn it was $10,000, but in that moment, she only knew it was more money than she had ever held in her hands at once. Her heart raced as images flooded her mind. Rent paid months in advance. Her mother's overdue medical tests. A second-hand car so she would no longer walk home at midnight. The envelope felt warm, almost alive, as if urging her to take it. But something tightened in her chest. She had seen tips before, generous ones, but this was different. This felt like a transaction she had never agreed to. Elena followed the man toward the door and returned the envelope, hands shaking but eyes steady. She explained simply, without drama, that she could not accept it. Not because she did not need the money, but because it did not feel right. Her voice nearly broke, but she stood firm. For a brief moment, the world seemed to pause. The background noise of the restaurant faded, leaving only the weight of her decision hanging between them. The man did not react the way she expected. There was no anger, no arrogance, no attempt to insist. Instead, there was curiosity. A quiet, intense curiosity that studied her not as a server, but as a person. He asked her to sit, not as a command, but as an invitation. She hesitated, knowing the rules, knowing the risks, but something in his expression told her this moment mattered. What followed was not a dramatic speech or a sudden miracle, but something deeper. He asked about her life. About how long she had worked there. About her dreams, if she had any left. Elena answered honestly, her words spilling out after years of being swallowed. She spoke of responsibility, of sacrifice, of nights crying silently so her mother would not hear. She admitted she had once dreamed of managing a restaurant, of leading a team with fairness and respect, but had buried that dream under reality. The man listened. Truly listened. And then he told her who he was. The revelation should have been shocking, but somehow it was not. It simply made sense. Only someone who had seen both power and emptiness could recognize integrity so quickly. He explained that the tip had been a test, not a trick, but a question. A way to see who valued character over cash when no one was watching. He told her that businesses failed not because of bad ideas, but because of poor values. And values, he said, could not be trained. They had to be lived. Instead of the envelope, he offered her something else. A chance. A manager's position at one of the flagship locations. Training, mentorship, a real salary. Not as charity, but as opportunity. He made it clear this would not be easy. She would be judged more harshly than others. She would have to prove herself every day. But he believed she already had. Elena felt the ground shift beneath her feet. Fear rushed in alongside hope. She thought of the comfort she had just refused, the certainty she had given up. But she also felt something she had not felt in years. Respect. For the first time, someone saw her not as replaceable labor, but as potential. The days that followed were some of the hardest of her life. Training was relentless. Expectations were high. Some co-workers resented her sudden rise. Others doubted her ability. She worked longer hours than ever, studied policies late into the night, made mistakes and owned them. There were moments she nearly quit, moments when exhaustion whispered that the envelope would have been easier. But she held on to the reason she said no in the first place. Slowly, things began to change. She learned to lead with empathy, to balance discipline with understanding. Staff turnover dropped. Customer satisfaction rose. People felt seen under her management. The restaurant became more than a workplace, it became a community. And with each small success, Elena's confidence grew. Months later, she stood in the same restaurant, now in a tailored blazer instead of a server's uniform. The man returned one evening, sitting quietly in the corner. He watched as she handled a difficult situation with calm authority, as she encouraged a nervous new hire, as she moved through the space with purpose. When their eyes met, he nodded once, a silent acknowledgement that said everything. Elena never forgot the envelope. She never forgot how close she came to taking it. But she also never forgot the strength it took to refuse it. That moment became her compass, reminding her that integrity could open doors money never could. If this story is touching your heart, if it reminds you that doing the right thing still matters in a world obsessed with shortcuts, please take a moment now to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Your support helps bring more stories like this to life. Before the ending, we have one special request for you. Please comment below with the words, "Integrity still wins," if you believe character is worth more than cash. In the end, Elena did not become rich overnight. She did not escape struggle instantly. But she gained something far more powerful. A future built on respect. A life shaped by choice, not desperation. And every time she trained a new employee, every time she saw someone stand a little taller because they felt valued, she knew she had made the right decision. Sometimes, the bravest thing a person can do is say no to what they need in the moment, in order to say yes to who they are meant to become.